Again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
And that's what it comes down to, profits over everything. I mean, if you think about it, there's no money in why would you want to ban gas stoves and plastic straws, but then replace them with what? Whatever's the vendor of these electric stoves and these paper straws made a lot of money in California because what they were offering, their products were being forced onto the public. Ridiculous. You don't even have a choice. You know what's crazy is that California and New York State have been like the testing grounds for all of this Agenda 2030, nonsense that's happening. But it's no longer nonsense. Now shit's getting real. You know, it's crazy. They said build back better. But my cousin just called me. He lives in the San Gabriel Valley. There was a fire right by his house. He thought he was going to have to evacuate with his family. Luckily, he hasn't had to evacuate yet, but he just got a check in the mail. It was from his insurance company that dropped him. And they had to give him a refund for since they dropped him for his fire insurance, and they sent him a check in the mail. And who is he supposed to go through now? There's no one offering insurance. I think the next step is going to be state offered insurance. And all those lots of land where people cannot rebuild because they don't have the money because there's no insurance is going to cover it, the state's going to rebuild it. And in their opinion, that's them building back better. Now, everything that Biden was talking about in the beginning starting to make sense. Nothing built back better this entire administration. Now, all the housing is going to be state-owned, state-controlled. All the means of production in those factories that went up and those businesses, they're all going to be owned by the state. You got to be a really bad investor to say, you know what, let me take my money and put it in California, knowing the risks, knowing that not only is Mother Nature against you, but so are the local cities and the state government. Why would you want to risk it? Who would want to risk working in California with everything we've seen? Oh, sorry about that, Prudence. I had turned it back up. So that's what they're talking about when it comes to Build Back Better. But let's look at this, because, you know, this is the part of the show where we just, you know, it's a nighttime show, and we're just talking about different topics.
San Francisco, now the latest city to crack down on gas appliances. I said stoves earlier, and I was mistaken. That is New York. San Francisco is some other gas appliances. New regulations will require now furnaces and water heaters to be electric by 2027 as part of the city's green energy agenda. Joining us.
So what's more important? Your home being there, or where your electricity for your home goes? Where it comes from? What's more important? I'll be honest with you. Again, the human experience is what should matter most over anything. Banning gas appliances, banning straws, and where did it get you? Your home is gone. Your neighborhood's gone. My city is gone. I'm only able to cope with this right now because I evacuated back when everybody else was still looking around thinking, okay, I can just get a passport and everything will be fine. Or I knew everything wasn't going to be fine. Sorry about that. I have that's the Mr. Bacon. He's crashing here for a little while until I guess until he gets a place. Oh wait, I think give me 1 second. He wants to go outside.
It's just another reason to move out of the state.
who knows if these things will make any difference at all? You know, we run the California grid on clean natural gas for the most part, some renewables, but there's not enough. It's not plentiful enough. So stop punishing.
By the way, renewable energy is bullshit. It's not realistic. It's not sustainable. And there's nowhere near enough of it for our population, which is why other countries laugh at the entire notion of it. Excuse me. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even practical at all. But they won't tell you that because, well, they're told not to tell you that. They want you to believe that the end is nigh and that you're a bad person by just living the regular human experience that we've been living for, I mean, since, for the last 100 years.
Fossil fuels until we get there. There's a ways away. And that's where the difference is. Yes. Where is there? It is over there. It's not here there.
Well said. You got that one?
Yeah, I got that.
That's a good one.
By the way, Brian.
So California, we're going to stick in California this whole block. It's so fascinating. Governor Gavin Newsom says the state will spend $30 million to build 1,200 tiny homes for the homeless starting this fall. I just want to add this, Kenny. So I was doing a little research on this. These tiny homes have electricity. Yep. They don't have any running water. They don't have bathrooms.
Well, Brian, it's like now you're.
So tell me, that makes sense.
No, I think they can plumb a tiny home. I mean, you certainly save money with plumbing and not having to have a sewer line going to the tiny home. It's going to smell a lot worse.
Yeah.
Well, then where do you use the restroom?
And they're cute. I love the tiny home villages. For sure. I think they're certainly a better, more permanent housing solution than tents in Portland, as you know, which is not in the state of California. The activists are giving out tents, keeping people on the very bottom of the rung, not actually helping them succeed and heal. So the tiny homes are great. The homes that they have been building in California, about $650,000 per home. And they barely started construction on those. They have about 5% of what they have promised the electorate, who keeps voting for the initiatives. And the state is spending so much money with so few results
that just means that there's just rampant corruption in the entire state. And because the supermajority are people who are voting for this are Democrats, leftists, Marxists, communists, there's really no way to stop it. Because the way it works in the United States is that each state is really just its own country, and every governor is the president of their state. Every governor is the president of his state. So the Fed is over the states. However, states' rights do trump the Fed most of the time. That's why you can have, weed can be legal in your state, or you can force people to have insurance in one state, but you go next door and guns are legal and they're not illegal like they are in California. And it's just completely different laws in each state because they're independent. You have a choice. However, California is just a very important place. And it seems like it's just the focus of a lot of the destruction and the dismantling of the American society. I keep telling people the West Coast is gone. Oregon's gone. Washington State is gone. California is gone. And one day, hopefully, God willing, we will take California back by force. God willing.
At some point, they have to kick these before.
Well,
in a tiny home, they can all live together like a clown car and just go away.
But I mean, think about it. No plumbing, no water. You can't cook there. So you put somebody in a home, but you made this point. California doesn't give people the means to build their own life. They want to put people in a
Even
home.
just New York.
So no water, no kitchen, no bathroom. You know what that sounds like? A doghouse. that's a doghouse. Like, dogs don't cook. Dogs use the restroom outside, and dogs don't really wash their paws every day in the sink. So that's a doghouse, and they want to put people. And look at this is a year ago. None of this has happened, but they've made arrangements to stop selling gas appliances in California. And also they banned flavored tobacco. It's just like they're just ripping the state apart. The point of being an American is having freedom over yourself. and independence and the liberty to pursue business and to grow. And they're just literally just putting their fucking hands around the throats of every Californian business owner, entrepreneur, anybody who's innovative, because California does have some really good schools. So you have really good talent. But now if you're smart, when you graduate, you're trying to get, take this show on the road. No one wants to stay. I mean, you would love to stay in California, but you can't. It's inhospitable now. The crime, the danger, the taxes, and now they're just physically burning you out. And there's really nothing you can do about it. There's no fighting back. There's no counter. There's nothing. But you will have paper straws. Have you ever tried using those paper straws and how they like fall the fuck apart after like 30 seconds when you're trying to drink something? It just creates tons of trash and waste. It's just everything about California is backwards. I grew up there. It was not always like this. The 90s were not like this. The early 2000s were not like this. I'll be honest. A lot of this bullshit and all the weirdness in California, it started like, I noticed it and I started to notice it. It was like right after Obama got into office. So I would say 2010. And then when he killed Gaddafi, when he deleted Gaddafi live on television, the richest man in Africa, 2011. After that, it was downhill. But you would think that there were no scandals about Obama, but it's just because you couldn't talk about him because they would consider you some kind of ist, some kind of phobes, being that he's the first gay president and he appears to be dark, but he's not American black. Yeah, it's really, he's in one of those sections, whatever, but no one wanted to be, you couldn't really talk about the things he's doing wrong. Like when he signed the Monsanto Protection Act, or when he made it possible to use propaganda on Americans, and he removed that law, which prevented that for the past, 80 years in America's history. Those protections were gone. Now anything goes. And then they started pushing the race stuff. I didn't know black people in America were oppressed or so pitiful that they just needed all this type of help and assistance. And I didn't know people thought the police were gunning down and killing everybody. All that started on social media, I would say circa 2009, 2010. And then everything was just blowing up every year, more and more and more, up until Trump got into office. And then it kind of slowed down. Matter of fact, I remember the terror threat levels on the news, like where they were like, today the terror level is red. Today the terror level is orange. And then as soon as Obama left office, the terror levels that just kept you in fear, that constant anxiety you got when you were watching CNN, when you're in a lobby of a hotel or at the airport, it was just gone, just like that. It's just crazy how they just have to keep you in a suspended, you're just in a constant state of fear and anxiety at all times. And if you're in California, they're just scaring you to death into submission. You got all these people virtue signaling, lying, and saying that men can become women and women can be men. And then look at all the DEI trash that's happening. Now you're starting to see a pattern. Wait a minute. There's a lot of blacks and a lot of gays, and then there's a lot of incompetence and a lot of bullshit happening that's destroying everything around us. And you're starting to see a pattern, but you're not supposed to notice patterns, but you're noticing them, and you're like, well, I'm gonna do what you're gonna do with Rico. You can just get the fuck out of here. But then that means that you're abandoning your post, and I kind of sometimes feel a little guilt about that. I think, should I have stayed and fought? Should I have stayed and fought and just, but when I left, I felt like I wasn't on social media talking to people. So I thought I was by myself. I didn't know other people felt like this and had the same opinions and thoughts as me. We were all, fragmented. We had never cared about politics. We didn't pay attention to the news. We were just living our regular lives. We're Californians. And then one day I was caught my pants down and I said, I will never again be uninformed about reality and what's going on. And that's how I'm here today. I'll read the news every day and I go over different topics, and, I'm really here just to have people to talk to. People send me messages, and this was a good question. Somebody sent me earlier that said, what good did You know, you see everything burning down and the whole city's going to hell. What good did banning gas appliances and plastic straws, what good did it really do in the end? And the astounding answer is fucking zero. It did no good for anybody at all. Nothing. It was a waste of time, a waste of energy, a waste of money. But now that we know it's all a bunch of nonsense, we can now start to roll back and undo all of these nonsensical policies that have been put in place over the past, 10 years? It's a wash now. All that shit is over. It's done. Now we go back to living in reality. We can go back to the real world. And if people don't like that, they can move. They can go to Canada. They can go somewhere else. You know, people pretend living in America is, by force. This is an option. There are flights that leave the country every hour on the hour. You can renounce your citizenship and leave. You don't got to stay here under Trump. You don't got to stay here with a bunch of conservatives, and you don't got to be here with people knowing that what you're probably doing is going to get you arrested. It doesn't make any sense for you to stay anywhere. You might as well just leave and see if you can find somewhere else that's better. I mean, they do communism in China. I don't know. I don't know where the Chinese stand on immigration. I don't think they'll let you go there. But here you are advocating to let all of them come here. It's just not going to work anymore. We have less than 2 weeks before Trump. Actually, we have 10 days until Trump's back in the White House. This is going to be a long 10 days. I mean, look at what's happening in California. Even though California is not Trump country, California is Democrat stronghold. But one thing I've learned about Democrats is they eat their own. They just burnt, for one thing, they euthanized their own base a couple of years ago, and now they're burning out what's left of their own base and forcing them to leave the state and go somewhere else. I have a friend of mine who's a realtor in Arizona. All of a sudden, his phone is blowing up with people who want to rent to own from California, looking for a place to stay, just packed up their house. They're on the road right now, heading east. And if they can't find somewhere to stay in Arizona, no one's going to New Mexico. That's not even an option. But they'll come straight to Texas. No one wants to live in El Paso. San Antonio is like, from what I've heard, never been there. So Austin, Houston, and Dallas are about to get way more Californians, unless you're going to go to Salt Lake City or Boise, which are options, but not really, just because of the climate. You guys are about to have an influx of Californians. You're going to have a lot of our California problems. They should make a moratorium where you're not allowed to vote in local elections for the first 5 years. That you have to be living in a state for 5 years before you can actually vote. I don't know why they just let people jump over states in one day. You're able to influence the local political atmosphere. I think that's ridiculous. They have to do that because right now you have this California ideology that's being forcefully spread. Remember, these are people that stayed in California through the lockdowns, through the mandates and the passports. So they're hardcore liberals and Democrats in California. They are to the bone. Now they're being forced out. They wouldn't leave California by choice. Now they're being forced. They have no choice. You're not getting, your insurance not going to cover your home being rebuilt. And if you're going to have to take them to court for them to do it. And that's going to take a long time. You have kids, they got to go to school. You're going to need somewhere to live in the meantime. You're going to have to fight the battle from another place. And if you get moved somewhere else in another state, you might get too comfortable and never come back. So you're not going to be living in California. You're going to spread that bullshit other places, and people should be aware of what is coming. Don't let them take your stoves and your straws away if you're in these other states and when the Californians get there. Do not let them shame you into submission. Don't do it. Don't fall. Or you'll end up looking like Las Vegas. Nobody wants to look like Vegas. All right. First part of the stream, the mic was off, unfortunately, so I know it looked kind of stupid. Remember, I'm amateur. I'm not really I'm not a pro at this or anything by any stretch of the word. But I'm just here talking on the internet. Nothing too serious. So I'll be back on actually probably tomorrow, because I'm supposed to be going to an after hours to get drinks, and but I am tired. I don't know if I feel like going out. So I'll be back on. I just wanted to talk about, how worthless all these bullshit Democrat policies in California really turned out to be all these years later. Because we're in the year 2025. We're deep in the future. So we should be able to see results by now, either way it went. Do me a favor, like and subscribe to the Save It Effective podcast on YouTube. I got some new followers today. I'm very grateful. Every time I hit a certain milestone, I'm going to do like a little party, and I'm going to share it with the people who are following. And I'm going to just keep doing these videos every day, you know, no matter what. My personal life, I used to get so busy with, besides working, I'm trying to have fun all the time, but there needs to be a balance. So this right here gives me more balance, and I'm going to expand on it and have, like I said, other shows and other things that I do on here where we're just really just talking to people. So, and that's all it is. I like long form conversation. I'm working on doing shorter stuff, but I mean, we're already 30 minutes in right now. This is pretty short. So, all right. Thank you. And like and subscribe, follow the pages. And oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go over some of these comments. We're getting some interesting comments on some of these topics. And I like to go through the comments with people so they can see what people are writing. And you know what? I'll save these comments for when we get back on, probably in the morning. And then that way we can just go over all this stuff together live. Okay. Thank you. And remember, like and subscribe to my YouTube. The link is in the bio. Just click it and subscribe to it. And that way you can get updates and you can watch the live show. Okay. Thank you very much. Talk to you. Oh, yeah. Blanche is my guy. Oh, yeah. Prudence. Oh, yeah. You're here. It's good to see you. Yeah, because I'm still figuring out how to read the actual comments on here. Okay. Yeah. Good night. I'll talk to you in the morning.